Good evening. It's Thursday, March 26th. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Maya Trabulsi, and tonight we've learned a third person in San Diego County has died after contracting the coronavirus. We're waiting for the latest update of confirmed COVID-19 cases from the county, expected at any moment now. That's one of the headlines we're following right now. On the national level, the U.S. has now surpassed Italy and China in the number of coronavirus cases. The Senate has approved a massive economic relief package as more than 3 million Americans file for unemployment benefits. KPBS reporter Priya Sridhar is in the newsroom with the latest from county and city leaders. Priya.
Maya, sadly, we have learned that a third person has died here in San Diego County because of the coronavirus. Officials say it was an 87-year-old woman. The two other deaths were two men in their 70s. That brings the total number of coronavirus cases here in the county to 297. Of those, 40% are female and 60% are male. Officials say 21% of all the cases have led to hospitalization and 10% have led to an admission in the intensive care unit. Just moments ago, we heard from San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer, who talked about the economic impact coronavirus is having on our community. He said projections show that the city is on track to lose more than $109 million from now until June 30th, when the fiscal year ends, because of this pandemic.
And I know we are all thankful that local government was kept in mind, and it will surely provide some relief to San Diego. But the hole being dug here is deeper than anything that we have seen before. So we appreciate the discussions that are continuing in the House. We will see if even more dollars can be allocated so cities can continue to effectively serve the public.
He says $26 million in losses comes from sales tax, which is the city's second largest source of revenue, and $83 million will be lost over the next 4 months from our tourist tax, which is the third largest source of revenue here. To put that in perspective, $110 million is the entire budget for the city's Park and Recreation Department for 1 year. Reporting from the newsroom, Priya Sridhar, KPBS News.
And the number is staggering. Over 3 million Americans filed jobless claims in 1 week. That new figure from the Labor Department underscoring how significantly the U.S. economy has been impacted by the coronavirus. Now a $2 trillion stimulus plan is on its way. But when will we start to feel some relief? Camila Bernal has the latest.
An ominous sign for the U.S. economy Thursday. 3.28 million new jobless claims were filed in a single week, a sign of the massive strain that the coronavirus has taken in nearly every business sector.
The nays are zero.
But while you were sleeping,
60-vote threshold,
the Senate making history.
The bill is passed.
I'm proud to announce tonight not a single senator voted against this $2 trillion rescue bill,
passing a record-breaking stimulus plan aimed at helping American workers and businesses impacted by the coronavirus. The package includes cash directly to American families depending on their income, up to $1,200 to individuals, $2,400 to couples, and $500 per child. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin says he hopes checks will start going out in 3 weeks. But experts say it could take longer. Other elements of the plan include suspending student loan payments, protections against foreclosures, and money for the airline and travel industries. The bill now goes to the House, where it's expected to pass on Friday. Speaker Nancy Pelosi touting the bill, but this package is just the beginning.
We want more, this was a big, strong step.
With the death toll and confirmed cases continuing to rise, getting healthcare workers the resources they need will be a top priority for lawmakers going forward. In Washington, Camila Bernal, KPBS News.
Despite the record unemployment numbers, stocks surged for a third straight day. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was up more than 1,300 points. The Dow has risen more than 21% since Monday. And here at home, a large number of San Diegans are scrambling to find work. Many wondering, where are the jobs now? Here's KPBS reporter Eric Anderson.
Shelter-in-place orders and other restrictions have combined to grind the local economy to a near standstill. San Diego Workforce Partnership economist Daniel Enemark says California had record-setting numbers of unemployment claims last week because everything shut down so fast. He says nearly 40 San Diego hotels have closed, restaurants, tourism companies, and lots of retail outlets are shuttered.
The difference here is that the economy is fundamentally healthy, but these measures that we're taking have created a short-term spike in unemployment.
Enemark says the big uncertainty remains how long social distancing policies will be needed to protect public health. He says even small local efforts to pay workers that may have nothing to do will help the economy bounce back. Enemark says time will determine how long the impact will be felt.
And the engine is working fine, but you can't get it to run because the keys are locked in there. And as soon as AAA comes and bails you out, you could start the car again and everything's fine, right? The problem is if you left your lights on and the car's off and then now the battery's drained, then when you get back in the car, you can't start it.
Enemark says the longer the economy remains idle, the more help the economy will need to regain strength. He says a long shutdown because of COVID-19 could lead to a prolonged economic dip. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
Even as California shelters in place due to the coronavirus, the U.S. military is scrambling to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic as more confirmed cases are reported. More now from KPBS military reporter Steve Walsh.
The Navy continues to announce more restrictions for bases around the country to stop the spread of COVID-19. Even so, unlike so many businesses in Southern California, parking lots at Naval Station San Diego were still full the day the hospital ship USNS Mercy departed.
Came here with the family, my in-laws, parents, and our son.
Julio Quintana was among a handful of family members who were still allowed to go on the dock to watch their loved ones leave for L.A., where the ship and its crew will back up local hospitals strained by the virus.
You always have worries and concerns regardless when family departs, but, you know, all in God's hands, man. So, and, you know, greatest Navy in the world.
The military's response to the pandemic can seem uneven at times. The Navy has suspended most recreational activities and events. The commissaries are still open, but they are allowing people in just a few at a time. Barber shops are shut down. However, thousands of Marines are continuing to train in Yuma, Arizona, despite at least one Marine at the base there testing positive. Exercises like this one, filmed last year, are deemed essential and are still going on.
We need to close it up and consolidate forces a little better.
The Marines at Camp Pendleton are still conducting exercises with the air wing at nearby Marine Air Station Miramar, despite having positive tests at both bases. Spokespersons say the bases are isolating those who test positive and quarantining everyone they came into close contact with. Some morning formations are canceled, while others are still going ahead. This even though Governor Gavin Newsom ordered Californians to stay at home.
We direct a statewide order for people to stay at home. That directive goes into force and effect this evening, and we are confident that the people of the state of California will abide by it. They'll do the right thing.
The Navy and Marines are telling non-essential personnel to work from home, but it's up to local commanders to determine who is essential, says the head of the Navy, Michael Gilday, in a Pentagon briefing.
We really do trust the judgment of our commanders, and so we're giving them broad authorities to do what they think they need to do to remain on mission and take care of people.
While the Navy encourages bases to listen to local authorities, it also put out guidance that makes it clear the Navy isn't required to follow these orders, nor are federal contractors like NASCO, a shipbuilder in San Diego, where the parking lots remain just as packed. At the same briefing, Acting Secretary of the Navy Thomas Modley acknowledged that not every commander may be getting the message.
Everyone's taking this pretty seriously, so we are hearing about some anomalies and we're trying to address those, but generally speaking, we are leaving those decisions to the commander.
The situation is rapidly evolving 15 days after it left Vietnam, a country that already had a handful of cases. 3 sailors aboard the San Diego-based aircraft carrier USS Roosevelt tested positive. The first cases aboard Navy ships. The Navy hasn't determined whether the virus came from the port visit or possibly from one of the aircraft that arrived. Virtually all port visits have now been suspended for the roughly 100 ships deployed at sea. The Roosevelt has been sent to Guam. Every one of the 5,000 sailors is now being tested for the virus, though the vast majority of ships don't have coronavirus testing kits. Before the Mercy departed for LA, the head of the Navy Medicine West, Rear Admiral Timothy Weber, was asked why more sailors haven't been tested.
Navy medicine, military medicine follow CDC guidelines, and CDC guidelines don't say test everyone.
New numbers show the Navy and Marines have the highest infection rates among the services. New restrictions are expected. Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
The coronavirus is affecting every state and every community, and those in immigration and customs enforcement custody are not immune. Just today, 3 immigrant children at a New York facility tested positive for the virus. KPBS reporter Maxwell Nadler tells us why this might just be the beginning of a large-scale crisis in immigrant detention centers.
When immigration attorney Dorian Edgarsetto walked into the Otay Mesa Detention Center last week to deliver papers to a client of hers, she was shocked by what she saw. From her perspective, guards and employees at the private facility, which is contracted by ICE, were going about their work without taking necessary precautions to stop the spread of the coronavirus.
The last time I was at Otay Mesa, which was several days ago, and this may have changed since, none of the guards had gloves. The security officers were not practicing social distancing. There were signs up in the facility encouraging people to do so, but it looked very much like business as usual at the detention center.
Advocates say the greatest risk of the spread of coronavirus doesn't come from the detainees themselves, who have been kept isolated from the larger world for weeks and months, but from the guards and other employees at the facility. CoreCivic, which runs Otay Mesa, provided KPBS with a series of guidelines that its employees are following to stop the spread of the virus. While social distancing is not part of the guidelines, a spokesperson for CoreCivic said it was highly encouraged and has been promoted during staff meetings and with posters throughout the facility. But one of Edgarsetto's clients, Juan, an asylum seeker who was released from Otay Mesa Detention Center this week, says he didn't see the guards changing their behavior in recent weeks. We're withholding his last name because of his ongoing asylum case.
No, nothing. The only thing they told us is just to keep our hands washed and clean, and probably that's about it. Because the guards they used to go out, they go to their house and come back, and no, they were never protecting nothing.
On Wednesday, a group of civil rights organizations filed for an emergency ruling in federal court in Riverside that would force ICE to reduce its detainee population, step up its safety measures during the pandemic, and identify those detainees with underlying conditions. Lisa Grable is an attorney with the Southern Poverty Law Center, one of the groups that filed suit.
People cannot be 6 feet apart. There's no option for social distancing at detention facilities where people are often, can be housed shoulder to shoulder, bunk to bunk, in massive dormitories where social distancing is a functional impossibility.
As of Wednesday, there have been no confirmed cases of coronavirus in ICE detention in California. Maxwell Nadler, KPBS News.
Chula Vista City Councilman Steve Padilla is still in the hospital on a ventilator, but is now in stable condition. Padilla announced in a Facebook video on March 14th that he had contracted COVID-19. His daughter provided an update on his condition, saying she's hopeful he's reached a turning point and will be home soon. A San Diego company best known for their devices to help with sleep apnea is shifting production due to the coronavirus. ResMed is now making ventilators.
We can keep you breathing and then allow your immune response to fight COVID-19 and win. And we're ramping everything up. Our goal is to have 2 to 3 times or more our global manufacturing capacity in a few weeks, and then push beyond that in ventilators.
CEO Mick Farrell would not say how many ventilators his company will produce, but expects the industry at large to meet the challenge. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo predicts his state alone could need 30,000 ventilators to meet demand. While San Diego County senior care operators have locked down their facilities to reduce the spread of COVID-19, they now may be facing another crisis, a caregiver shortage. KPBS reporter Amita Sharma explains.
The median pay of a California caregiver is $13 an hour. Many have little or no paid sick leave. National Elderly Care Policy Advocate Robert Espinoza says those facts may encourage caregivers to work while sick, which could be deadly during a pandemic.
Not being able to take time off when you're sick
puts the people you're in contact with at risk.
San Diego senior residential communities are screening their caregivers by taking their temperature, but they aren't testing them for COVID-19. Belmont Village Senior Living founder and CEO Patricia Will has a message for San Diegans.
In this time of crisis, I'd like to ask everyone in San Diego to join me in a shout out for the terrific workers that are working in our seniors housing communities day and night.
Will passed out gratitude gifts to caregivers several days into Belmont's lockdown. Amita Sharma, KPBS News.
For the first time in its 132-year history, the Hotel Del Coronado closed its doors to guests today. The general manager says the decision came from the current business environment. There have not been any confirmed cases at the hotel. Guests with reservations have been told to contact Hilton Reservations and Customer Care. Security will be on site to guard the National Historic Landmark until it can reopen. The Padres are reaching out to their fans on what would have been opening day.
God bless America, my home, sweet home.
At 1:10, the time the season would have started, the Padres broadcast a singing of God Bless America at an empty Petco Park. The Padres radio station streamed a virtual opening day with a simulated video game on Facebook. Team owners sent out a letter to fans thanking them for their support. And we are following all of the latest coronavirus developments for you at kpbs.org. Click on the Tracking COVID-19 link on our homepage, and then you'll be taken to a page with all of our recent reports. You can find that right now at kpbs.org. There's snow in our mountains, and another storm system is bringing a chance of rain. Lauren Rainson has our forecast.
We continue to watch that counterclockwise swirl. You can clearly pick that out on the water vapor imagery. That's that next upper level low pressure system. The trough's been digging its way southward. That's been setting the stage for additional showers as we're heading into tomorrow. Let's break down the timing of everything for you in the future cast. Some spotty hit or miss light showers will be left over, especially the further east to work your way inland and into the higher elevations. That's where the showers are going to be a bit more common. They'll begin to simmer back down again for that Friday morning commute. By Friday midday and then the rest of the afternoon, more dry. The last of the showers will have pressed their way off to the east and out of our hair. But as we're heading into tonight, if you are going to be out and about, don't leave that umbrella at home. You will be needing that. Now, the overall intensity of the showers, nothing that impressive or anything like that, but they are going to be out there. This is also translating to winter weather advisories in the mountains across Southern California now, and as we're heading into early Friday morning, we are anticipating that 1 to 3 inches of accumulating snowfall, locally up to 6 inches in the highest elevations. As that storm system continues to lift its way out of here, we're trending much drier, getting back to the TGIF Friday sunshine. Oceanside into tomorrow, highs topping out near 63, 65 in the metro, lower 60s in Chula, Vista. High pressure will be building its way back in. That next system soon enough is going to be diving its way in from the northwest. Your extended forecast along the coast calling for a lot of Friday sunshine. Clouds will start to build back in into the weekend. Overall, partly to mostly cloudy. Further inland, we're keeping this extended outlook dry. Ample sunshine, lower to the middle 60s these next several days. Will be a bit warmer into early next week with highs in the lower to the middle 70s. Into the mountains we go with some snow returning by late weekend. Will be quite chilly with highs in the lower 40s. Temperatures will take that next big boost into early next week with highs returning to the 50s Monday and Tuesday. Into the desert, soaking up that Friday sunshine, temperatures in the lower 70s. You'll coast in the lower 70s all the way through Sunday. Much warmer early next week, Monday to Tuesday. We're talking highs in the lower 80s. Reporting for KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Lauren Rainson. Back to you.
Several San Diego media outlets are shutting down or cutting back in the midst of the coronavirus outbreak. KPBS reporter Claire Tregeser says the hope as it's only temporarily.
San Diego Magazine, which has published in San Diego for 72 years, is ceasing publication at least temporarily and has laid off all but 3 people. San Diego Home Garden Lifestyles magazine is also not publishing and has laid off its staff, according to a former employee. San Diego Reader has a message on its website saying that its business is hurting because of the coronavirus outbreak and is asking for donations. And San Diego City Beat has ceased publishing, quote, until the economy approves, according to an email from its editor that was forwarded to KPBS. At San Diego Magazine, publisher Jim Fitzpatrick says the shutdown is directly related to the coronavirus outbreak.
It came down to nothing for our staff to do. We write about, people, places, and things to see and to do in San Diego, and they're all closed.
He says the magazine lost a lot of advertising amid shutdowns, so it made financial sense to close now, save money, and then try to restart later.
When business comes back, we'll be back, and I expect to be back bigger and better than ever. When this is over, I'm one of those who believes that things are going to come roaring back because there's so much pent-up demand.
Experts who track the business of journalism are worried that this crisis will be the death blow to many local news outlets nationwide, as the industry has already been in significant decline since the Great Recession. Claire Tregesser, KPBS News.
$70 for 2 boxes of Cheerios. That's the price surge one Amazon shopper says she encountered recently. The online retail giant has now suspended thousands of accounts due to price gouging. Nick Popham has details.
Everything is just ridiculously priced.
Susie Knott has been frustrated during this pandemic. She frequently shops on Amazon for groceries and other items, but recently she claims the prices haven't been the same.
It's kind of hit and miss.
For example, she was shopping for Cheerios to buy for her husband and saw most of the boxes were sold out.
Everything said unavailable, not available, out of stock. And then I saw a 2-box set and looked at it, and it was $70.14 for the 2 boxes.
And she's not alone. Multiple people have been taking to social media claiming they've seen prices skyrocket. It's why Amazon is suspending nearly 4,000 accounts for allegedly price gouging customers out of things like cereal and emergency powder.
You get used to buying your regular cleaning supplies and household supplies, and things are, twice to 3 times the price.
We reached out to Amazon and no one got back to us. But earlier this week, they posted to their company blog saying they are, quote, making clear to all of our sellers our long-standing policies that ensure fair pricing, monitoring our stores 24/7 through both automated and manual means, and aggressively removing bad actors and offers, collaborating with federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies and policymakers to hold price gougers accountable, staying focused on our customers and protecting their interests. Knott hopes Amazon will continue to stock up on goods and get rid of people taking advantage of this pandemic.
They need to go away because that's just not right.
That was Nick Popham reporting. Earlier this month, Amazon said it pulled more than 1 million products for price gouging or falsely advertising effectiveness against the coronavirus. And if you've been worried about the imposing deadline to get a real ID from the DMV, you'll be getting a break there. President Trump has pushed the October 1st deadline by an entire year. Under the Real ID law, you need the enhanced license to board a domestic flight. Trump said he moved the deadline to avoid crowds at the DMV. States had been having trouble processing requests because of the outbreak. And while most Californians are at home, a lot of communication and services have moved online, and that goes for the California census, too. Just by going online or by phone and answering 9 questions, the state can gather the information it needs to get funding for the next decade. Also new this year, California is using mapping technology to identify hard-to-count areas. The 2020 census is available in 13 different languages, and online responses need to be completed by May 28th. You may be surprised at how long the virus that causes COVID-19 can actually survive on surfaces. A recent study breaks down the numbers. Mandy Gaither has more in today's Health Minute.
It's a vicious virus that spreads easily, and a recent study shows the virus that causes COVID-19 can survive on surfaces for hours, even days. The results published in the New England Journal of Medicine say that COVID-19 can hang out as droplets and remain in the air for up to 3 hours. The study found that the novel coronavirus can survive up to 4 hours on copper, up to 24 hours on cardboard, and 2 to 3 days on plastic and stainless stainless steel. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention continue to recommend the cleaning of frequently touched surfaces and objects every day, including counters, tabletops, doorknobs, bathroom fixtures, toilets, phones, keyboards, tablets, and bedside tables. If the surfaces are dirty, clean them first with detergent and water, then disinfect them. The CDC recommends diluted bleach solutions, 5 tablespoons of bleach per gallon of water, and alcohol solutions with at least 70% alcohol. The agency says most household cleaners or disinfectants registered with the Environmental Protection Agency should be effective too. For today's Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, the U.S. crosses an ominous threshold. More than 1,000 deaths from COVID-19. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
An update to our top story now. There has been another jump in the number of coronavirus cases in our county. Health officials have just confirmed 341 cases. That's 44 more than yesterday. We've also learned an 87-year-old woman died from the virus. That's the third death reported in our county. At the federal level, the Senate has approved a massive relief package as more than 3 million Americans file for unemployment benefits. The bill now goes to the House, where it's expected to pass tomorrow. And here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. On Morning Edition, the latest developments in the coronavirus crisis, plus how the city of San Diego is preparing in case of a face mask shortage. And then on Midday Edition, med students could end up playing an important role as coronavirus cases rise across the country. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us for Evening Edition. Good night.